Hello. Hello. So, I'd like you to quickly rate yourself. How happy are you? On the scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you? Really quickly, and tell your neighbor, 1 to 10. You and me, okay. Quickly, 1 to 10, how happy are you? Go.
I'm a
10? 10?
Yeah, what about you?
I think I'm at a 10 right now. I'm kind of like high energy up on front. Are you really a 10?
I really am a 10.
That's fantastic. All right. All right, come on back, come on back, come on back, come back. You guys stop being so happy. So what did you guys notice when that just happened, when I asked you how happy are you?
You got happy.
You got happy. Why do you think that happened? Because this is really key here on something that happens with humans and just the processes, and I'm going to say on focus. And I'll tie it into being reactive versus proactive versus, and this meeting that I'm talking about, the 10-minute meeting that can double your production, double your results in 12 months flat. So what happened just now? Yeah, why do you think you got happy, though?
Your focus was on happiness.
Because your focus was on happiness. And sometimes, as simple as that, just this little tiny shift in what you're up to can shift everything. It's pretty phenomenal how this could happen. When I was I moved to Missouri when I was 10 years old, actually, and from California, where I live right now, because I moved back, by the way. And my grandparents had bought this big building out there, and it had an apartment living place in the building. So we lived in this apartment in this big commercial building while we looked for a house. And we had bats. And I just thought of this story, so you're welcome. It's coming out right now, and it's Ty's fault. And sign up for Facebook. I'm just going to throw that in there. Pay your taxes. Uncle Sammy, whoever. Sugar, that's right. Back on target here. So we would have two ways of doing it. The first way that we would deal with the bats is we would run frantically out of the room as fast as possible. That was very reactive. It's very scary. And we wouldn't know what to do except scream and hide behind someone bigger. That was the second way, though, was the way that ended up being the funnest game that I've ever had in my life. We would get tennis rackets. We would arm ourselves with any kind of hockey gear or face protectant we can get, and we would go after those bats. And it ended up being, with a little strategy, a little family meeting together, we would get the bats that were in the place that came from the belfry, because there must have been hundreds. And we would come down and we would strategize and we would rid the intruders from our home. Yeah! Now, this may actually have nothing to do with what I'm talking about, except for the fact that a little strategy, a little focus, and your results can completely transform. And so today, when we're talking about a 10-minute meeting, how could 10 minutes transform anything in your life? And what I'd like to tell you, and what I'd like to encourage you to consider is it can. Just like thinking about happy got you happy. Just like a little meeting ridded the intruders from our happy home. 80% of businesses today will fail in less than 2 years. 96% of those businesses fail in the next 10 years. That's a lot of businesses. I'd say 95% of entrepreneurs make less than $52,000 a year. These are the owners. Many of them far less than that. There's a way of doing business that was working in the past, and that would be work harder, be diligent, just do your job and think nothing else. That may have worked to a certain extent, but it's not working today. Over the last 16 years, in 1995, I started working in Fresno, California for a nonprofit, leadership development. And since then until now, working in corporations, coaching and working and doing leadership and sales trainings with the CEO to the secretary, I've noticed that things have changed. And here is the main key that I want you to take away, is that unless that you are intentional about taking responsibility for your own success, the company that you're in or the business that you're in is not going to do it for you. Or maybe it will, maybe it won't, but how will you know unless you're very intentional about it? When I was 10 years old, I got in a car accident. And it took me 3 years to learn how to walk again. Body casts, physical therapy, all kinds of stuff. Now, luckily, good story, I can walk. I don't know if you noticed. It's actually a wonderful thing. I can even dance. And I'm going to show you right. No, I'm not going to go.
Let me turn on the...
Get it going? Remember, ever seen Hitch? This is where I live. This is where I live. That's right. So don't worry. I don't go farther than that. But one of the things that happened to me in my recovery is I went to Disneyland, and I was pushed around in a wheelchair because I was in the middle of recovery still. And I hit the back of a guy one time while I was in my wheelchair on his Achilles tendon, really hurt him. And he turned around and said, "Who did that?" Really angry. And then he looked around and he saw a kid in the wheelchair. And he said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he apologized to me. Unbelievable. Why do you think he would go from anger to apologizing to the one who hurt him?
Because he realized he was not the worst off person in the team.
His focus check.
Yeah, both of those. It's a perception shift. And it's a being openness to a whole nother story and a whole nother opportunity that's right in front of you. It's right there. And I'm going to say that the opportunities that will change your life, they're right here. They're not something to go out and search for. And so one of the ways to do that is to flatten out the world and have the girls' perspective, huh? Come on, ladies. Yeah. Oh, love those ladies. Now we're going to go into the 10-minute meeting. Now here's some details. Now it could be elaborate or it could be as simple as this. There's just a few steps. The first one is to plan it, a 10-minute meeting, and put it on your calendar. If something's urgent, you're going to make sure it happens. If you're going to get to it, well, maybe that'll never happen. And the 10-minute meeting goes something like this. What's the most important thing that I should be working on in my business? If you have a team, like over here at National, you have a team. What is the biggest challenge that we're working on today? Or what's the biggest deficit between efficient and excellence and now? Where's the gap in our company, in our teams? And you just start listing them. And you have a brainstorming session, you get them down. At the end of it, you vote on which are the most pressing, which of these issues are closest to increasing our bottom line. And there will be amazing things that can come from this. Working with a company, the janitor had an idea that let them save thousands of dollars in wasted work, in wasted materials. So that's the first meeting, is just to get the meeting topics down. What are the things we should be working on? The second 10-minute meeting, once a week. Next week, we come down, all right, we have horrible communication with the people that call up and ask for sales or whatever it is. And then you just get ideas. And so then you write down the ideas, and you can have one of these wonderful static boards. I love these things. I'm going to try to steal some and write things in my room, because it's just so wonderful. I love them, stick them everywhere. And you just write down. Now, it's going to be phenomenal if you keep on writing them down, because what's going to happen is you're going to get this pool of ideas from everyone, and you're going to come up with solutions. And you're not going to have to figure them out every time they come up. You're going to end up getting strategies, key strategies that you can do 1,000 times, instead of having 1,000 different ways to do 1,000 different things and be totally reactive, running with your head cut off. What's going to happen is you write them down, you send them out, and you encourage the other people that it applies to follow these, because you're like, hey, we figured them out. And then once you get the memos or the planning down, you turn them into policies. When you find out they work consistently, you turn them into procedures, and you turn them into a policy. Then suddenly you're like the big companies. And maybe it's just you, but you're like the big companies that have tried and true policies that you've thought through for your team, or maybe it's just you. And it all comes from just stopping and asking, what's the best thing that I should do right now? What's the problem that I want to face right now? And if you can stop enough time to think and strategize, you may be completely shocked to find out what you come up with.